let's get right to our panel. In Washington is political strategist Angela Rye, and here in New York is my MSNBC colleague Crystal Ball, co-host of The Cycle, and McKay Coppins, who is an editor, the political editor of BuzzFeed. Welcome to you. Crystal, the National Institutes of Health, I discovered earlier today, is calling the parents of children with cancer, telling them that their last hope, an experimental treatment, will now not be allowed because the government is shut down. I've heard for the last 10 hours Conservatives and Republicans saying it's no big deal. You've got children, I've got children. What possesses people to do that and say this is no big deal when children, terminally ill children, are not going to receive the possibility of treatment?
It's really unconscionable and unbelievable, but we saw the same thing with the sequester cuts. You know, they were totally unmoved by the real harm that was done to programs like Head Start and programs like what you're talking about. And the only thing, Meals on Wheels, and the only thing that I can come up with is that they live in a totally different world. So they don't see the people, they don't see the impact of these cuts, they don't feel the impact of the shutdown, and all they really care about is what's in their own backyard. The World War II Memorial, it is important that it be there for our war heroes to go and visit.
Of course.
They care about that. They care about the D.C. government, which is one of the things that they've proposed reopening because they live there. Okay, so it's a very self-centered vision of what's important in government.
It's unbelievable. McKay, the great Reince Priebus, we just saw him there offering RNC funds. I think it's about $150,000. Do you think it would help if Mothers on WIC support stormed a memorial to draw attention to their needs?
I certainly wouldn't hurt. I think that, you know, in every time there's a crisis like this in Washington, there are certain events that become flashpoints in the politics of it. For some reason, you know, the War Memorial may not be the most important, it probably isn't the most important thing going on here, but it was the flashpoint. And yesterday, Republicans and conservatives thought that maybe this was something that could turn public opinion or start to turn the narrative in their favor. But I think that when Reince Priebus went out there after the White House already announced that, look, these war memorials are going to be open now for, you know, for war veterans to come and visit from now on, he still went out there and offered the money. I think that that was a little bit of an over. I think that a lot of even political observers who are paying attention to the game here are going to think that that was probably a bad decision.
Jump in here briefly, because I've spoken with a few veterans who are actually very disgusted and frustrated with the way that they've been used as some sort of a political point to grandstand. So I think that part of this is really disappointing too.
Angela, CNBC's John Harwood, our colleague, interviewed the president this afternoon. We've just got a clip. I'd like you to take a listen to what the president had to say.
During the course of my presidency, I have bent over backwards to work with the Republican Party and have purposely kept my rhetoric down. I think I'm pretty well known for being a calm guy. Sometimes people think I'm too calm. And am I exasperated? Absolutely, I'm exasperated, because this is entirely unnecessary.
Angela, no doubt he's exasperated, but how long will Republicans go on with this ridiculous and reckless behavior?
Well, Martin, you know what's really scary is I really don't know the answer to this. If you would have asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have thought, okay, maybe a couple of hours of a shutdown just so that they could reach agreement. That is not happening here. You have folks who literally are boycotting, and they see that as their responsibility to the American people. I have no idea who it is that they're even talking to, because if they go beyond the borders of their gerrymandered congressional districts, it's very clear that the American people writ large don't support shutting down the government to protest Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act, which is also ironic because people don't seem to know that they're the same thing nowadays. The other thing is that's tremendously frustrating is initially I was saying, you know, these folks are just doing this because, you know, they were elected to shut down government and they ran on that platform. But, Martin, I really think that some of these folks don't know any better. I don't think they understand that Obamacare has been funded. I don't understand that people were literally able to go online yesterday and sign up. I really don't think they know any better, and that's why their constituents don't.
Right. McKay, how long will it be before the president is accused of being an angry black man because he said he is exasperated?
Well, I won't be making that accusation.
You won't be. That's why you're on this broadcast.
It's
not going to be long, though, is it?
It's
not going to be long, is it?
No, I mean, look, I think the politics of this are extremely fraught. You even saw, earlier today, Harry Reid was asked about the cancer patients, and he made a gaffe saying, well, why would we even want to, move things around just to fund that one element of the government? Look, we're going to see a lot. The temperature is going to continue to rise the longer this goes on. A lot of people thought this was only going to last a few hours. It's lasted 2 days now, and there's no end in sight. And I think we're going to see a lot of lawmakers making bad comments going forward.
Crystal, the president has said that he is damn well exasperated.
Yeah.
They've got this meeting, in about an hour and 15 minutes. Do you think they're going to accomplish anything, honestly?
I am unfortunately quite pessimistic at this point because I don't see where the pressure is going to come from on the 30 to 40 legislators.
But Crystal, isn't the problem here that we went through the sequester and basically Republicans immunized us and argued that it had no effect.
Right.
Now we're in the government shutdown. We got people like Ted Cruz saying, oh, it's just like a weekend.
Right.
No problem. So why don't we smash the whole creditworthiness of the United States in 2 weeks' time? Let's go for the debt ceiling.
I think that's exactly right. I think they were emboldened by the first debt ceiling negotiation. I think they were emboldened by the fact that they now have sequester cuts as sort of the new normal. And I think if there's a deal on the CR, they'll be emboldened by that. And I think Democrats are very aware of this dynamic that they can't give anything on the CR or else they'll just be further emboldened to take the debt ceiling hostage. And then it never ends because let's not forget, we're talking about a 6-week
Yes.
We have this again in 6 weeks?
Yeah, we do. How about that, Angela? We have it again in 6 weeks, just in time for small businesses for Christmas. That'd be great, won't it?
No, it actually would be terrible, Martin, and I think you know that. I'm saying that facetiously. But I think the reality of this situation is, to Crystal's last point, the fact that we're now looking at sequestration and saying, okay, we'll fund the government at these levels. Democrats are doing that just to get something passed is highly problematic. We've been operating on this continuing resolution after continuing resolution, and the Congress hasn't taken up the specific appropriations measures that they're supposed to, and on top of all of that, policy writers are now attached. It's commonplace to defund Obamacare. It's commonplace to challenge women's abortion rights. All of these things have become norm, and they're not normal. This cannot become the new normal.
Final word to you.
Republicans are now proceeding with the same strategy they used with the sequester cuts, which was we'll fund the parts that we like. Every time something comes up that is, problematic, we'll fund that. And Democrats aren't falling for it this time, so that'll be a big factor here.
Angela Rye, McKay Coppins, Crystal Ball, thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Martin.
Coming up, the real